Here, take this.
Okay. Pointing at you.
It's on. Ciao, amici. It's me, Chef Leo. I'm driving. We're here in Chicago on this beautiful, uncharacteristically gorgeous winter day in December. Right now, 56 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm on the old Eisenhower, the 290, if you guys live here in town. And we're on our way into the city. And I say that like I'm some big fancy, I don't know. Who says they're from the city? Anybody? So I got a lot of people all over the country, all over the world on this YouTube, and this is my new channel, the Pizza Garage. And there's a lot of cool things that I've been noticing coming through. A lot of people asking a lot of interesting questions. So I figured, why not answer maybe some of them live? Moderating is my gorgeous smoke show wife, Melissa. She's on here, and she'll be able to see if any questions pop up. I already have a list of questions that people were asking that I'm going to go ahead and address, and I just figured I'd chatter for about a minute or so to give everybody a chance to get on here, and I'm going to say, all right, let's go. So big news right now is that this Pizza Garage YouTube channel is going to be the home for a lot of my brand new content, like full featured stuff. Like I'm talking like there's an hour-long master class on step-by-step making a Chicago stuffed pizza. I just put a really quick one on there. I'm doing deep dish pizza, a lot of really cool stuff like that. So this week I had some questions. I was working on contemporary Neapolitan dough as well as Roman pizza. Both of those are high hydration doughs, and I did a lot of different things on those two different doughs. First one is that there's a big difference between them. My contemporary Neapolitan is probably about 70% hydration. My pizza is probably closer to about 85% hydration. I did something experimental with a new flour that just arrived in the United States called Aria, and it's from the mill Caputo, Antimo Caputo mill in Napoli. And Aria is made for making specifically pizza and pizza in teglia and pizza alla pala, or the metro, whatever you call it. And I had a client, because I do a lot of consulting work, and this client specific on the amount of raw materials that they were going to bring in, so the amount of different types of flour. So without bringing a ton of flour in, I'm going to be using this Aria flour to make a pizza for the new pizzeria concept. But since it's also kind of a heavy flour, not refined, it's a tipo zero, not double zero, I says, you know, well, why not make a couple calls to some of my industry friends and see if we can't figure out, maybe I could do a biga with Aria, which it's not made for, but let's see if we can do it. So I called a couple people, and the couple people that I talked to were like, well, it's not made for that. Why would you want to do it? But I have a specific need. So I says, well, it'd be a great test. Let's do it. So what is a biga? A biga is an Italian pre-ferment, about 44-45% hydration. The amount of ore going into the biga is based on the total flour weight of the formula. So in that case, particularly on this one, I did an 80% biga, which means that 80% of my total flour weight was inside of the biga, and then the rest of the flour went into my refreshment and the finishing step. So anyways, I made a biga with Aria, and it worked out amazing. Aria has some pasta madre, some lievito madre in it, which is like a yeast in itself. So the first thing that I noticed on my experiment was when I made a biga with Aria, it was like I put Viagra in this dough. It was very active, very puffy, lots of cell structure, and it was not what I was looking for. So I ended up learning that in this test, that if I use Aria for a biga, that would need a reduction in the final amount of yeast. So that was kind of a cool thing, and that was one of the things that in the pizza garage I do a lot of experimentation. I work with a lot of clients nationally throughout the United States. We had some interesting projects coming up throughout Europe, one in the UK, and then a couple other stuff going on that I can't talk about right now. But so made this contemporary Neapolitan dough using the biga with the aria in it, and it was amazing. It was so beautiful. After the second test where I reduced the amount of yeast, because it's contemporary Neapolitan, what does that mean? It means that, first of all, because we're using a biga, it disqualifies us from the traditional Neapolitan dough that would be approved by the Associazione Verace Pizza Napoletana, or the AVPN, which is, for all intents and purposes, like the people who watch Neapolitan pizza throughout the world to make sure that it's up to the standard and made the same as it was, let's call it 300 years ago, no refrigeration, all that kind of stuff, and which I'm also an ambassador of the association. So anyways, we're not baking at 900 degrees in 90 seconds. We're baking at about 750 degrees in about 2 to 2.5 minutes. Final result is very open, airy, light, a little bit of crispiness on the exterior. So beautiful. And toppings are kind of like no holds barred at that point. You really do whatever you want. I'm really big on the way that I learned how to make pizza, in the fact that I was taught that a pizza should never have more than 5 ingredients on it, and out of those 5 ingredients, sauce and cheese are also included. So if you're using mozzarella, fior di latte, mozzarella di bufala, any of those other things, I would say that cheese is cheese. So no matter if you're using a variety of cheeses, we'd still call it one cheese. Tomato sauce, if you're going to use it, that's another ingredient. So the beautiful thing about baking like that is that there's nowhere to really hide. Everything has to be on point. So if you're only going to have 3 other ingredients on there, they should be prepared. Some thought should go into how they were prepped to go onto that final pizza. And that's a really beautiful way to bake, and I always love it. I love the challenge of it. And again, making doughs in this manner where we're kind of thinking outside the box. There's a lot of learnings in those things. So when you guys come at me with lots of different questions, it's really nice to be able to give somebody that answer from experience, saying, oh, I tried this and it did that, right? You can't go to a 5-day master class for $2,000 and expect that you're going to learn everything and become a master, right? These things take time, many years of practice, many years of experience, and ultimately it's that maturity and professionalism that come out. So when you guys want to learn something, that's why so many people follow me and call me and all that other stuff. Great. Now, going back to pinza, what is pinza? Pinza is another style of, let's call it flatbread for right now, since there really isn't a designation of what flatbread really is, right? Flatbread is something. Tell me what it is, right? So there's not really a designation. But flatbread being something that's flat, in this case from Rome, that pizza alla palla, pinza, is very bubbly and airy and light, right? So taking that away, the original pinza was made with a blend of flour, right? Traditionally, it would have been farina di soia, so soy flour, rice flour, and a little bit of wheat flour, right? So your double zeros, all that kind of stuff. Now, all of a sudden, coming over to the States and traveling throughout the world, people start getting concerned because soy is an allergen, soy flour is an allergen, and not everybody could eat it because it'll make some people sick, right? So what did we start doing? Experimenting with other flours that will, number one, absorb lots of water, which 85%, 90% hydration. When you get into that world, you need a very specific blend to be able to absorb that water. So outside of this, we removed the soy, and all of a sudden you started seeing things like semola di macinata, which is hard hard wheat, which is used a lot in production of pasta and that sort of thing. Absorbs a lot of water, has a beautiful sweetness, that kind of nice yellow color is really beautiful. Rice flour, a lot of people love it. 00 flour, a lot of people love it. Tipo Uno is another one that a lot of people like to add to this. What's Tipo Uno? It's kind of in the middle of the refinement scale. So if everything starts as whole wheat, then we take a little bit of the bran, a little bit of the germ out. We've got type 2, a little bit more of the bran and germ comes out. We got type 1. Then most of the bran and germ are completely removed, and we have a little bit coarser grind, let's call it like that. That's type 0. And then finally, type 00 is all the endosperm, no bran and germ, as fine as we can get it, and that's what 00 flour is. So in that world, adding some Tipo Uno with a little bit of bran and germ is really beautiful, because all of a sudden it gives us these nutty flavors from the grain, which is really beautiful and tastes like, if you ever imagine eating Cheerios without the milk, the more whole grain you put into your doughs, the more you're going to get those beautiful nutty flavors, which is amazing, right? So going back to this, I did an 85% hydrated pizza using aria, using a step called bulk fermentation, right? What's bulk fermentation? We put all the flour, the water, and the yeast together, and then we let it sit for a certain amount of time. How much time? Well, it all depends on where you come from. If you live in a place that's really hot, right, because there's yeast, it could be bulked, doubled in size, or increased by 50% within maybe 30 minutes to an hour. If it's really cold, it could be 2 to 4 hours. It really all depends what you want to do. Why bulk ferment? Because bulk fermentation reduces the amount of mixing on the second stage. Now, when we do that, reduction in final mixing will also help us reduce our final dough temperature, right? So final dough temperature is critical. All these things together, I made this beautiful pizza crust using aria, and very soon you guys will be seeing on this channel both my contemporary Neapolitan dough that I did with aria as a biga. You'll also see aria being used to make pizza with a bulk fermentation step. So wow, I just talked for almost 15 minutes, and I can't believe it. That's what was going on in the pizza garage this week. It was a lot of fun, a lot of craziness. We had a lot of pizzas, both good and bad. Not everything that comes out of my oven is good, right? But that's all great thing about learning, is that when we actually bake and we do the experiments, it's really about the value in learning from our mistakes. And I tell everybody, if you're going to do any kind of experimentation, or a lot of people like to talk about R&D, right? A lot of big fancy words, right, on social media. So when people say they're doing some R&D, they're talking about research and development. And the best way that I can tell you to do R&D is get yourself a notebook. Take very specific notes. Record all your formulations, everything that you did. Record your times, temperatures, water temperatures, final dough temperatures, everything that you did in those steps. Because the worst thing that you could ever do is make the most amazing pizza of your life and then walk away and say, oh shit, what did I do? What was the process? And have no backing information. You found the unicorn, and then all of a sudden, you'll never find it again, right? So get yourself some notes. Take really good notes. If you have a significant other that's really good at typing in the computer and you're not, right? Get them to actually put it in a spreadsheet maybe. How about that? Ding, 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 right? All these things together. So this all being said, Melissa, was there any questions? Anybody asking anything, saying anything?
No, just good to see you on here.
What's up? How's everybody? And we're actually heading downtown right now. Downtown in Chicago. Turn around right now. You're going to see Chicago Stock Exchange. That's pretty historic right there, right? All these beautiful buildings. Going under the post office here in a second. And it's pretty awesome. I love being downtown. As you can see, lots of fake news about, all the constant shootings and everybody downtown and all that. I still believe that I live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. and I grew up here and spent all my life here, and was literally on these streets all my life, both working and personal for pleasure and clubbing and everything else you could think of. And I'm still not willing to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say that our city is a mess and it's full of gangs and violence and all this other thing, because there still is nothing more magical than the city of Chicago at Christmas time. Just here shortly in a second, we're up on Congress right now. We're going to be heading down Michigan Avenue, which is pretty amazing. Michigan Avenue's changed a little bit since all the problems that were down here, and since COVID and all these other things that were happening. There was riots and looting and all these things. But I guess in a world when everything was a free-for-all, right, without saying anything political, because I really don't know shit about politics, but it was really one of the things that was hard for everybody who loved growing up and being in the city, or if you spent time here at Christmas time and you were on State Street, you maybe went to Marshall Fields, you maybe you're in the Walnut Room, right? All these things were like amazing things growing up. And all my friends that are in New York, if you were doing your thing and you went to go see the tree and Lincoln Center and all those beautiful places that are in New York, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So that's it. We're getting ready. We're at almost the if you're Italian, you're almost at the Super Bowl of our world, which is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It seems like everybody goes out of their way to go nuts on Christmas Eve. We talk about the Feast of the Seven Fishes. A lot of us have more than 7 fishes if you live in a hardcore Italian family, right? Check this out. Do you ever see the Indians up here and these horses, right? That's pretty cool to hear. We're right next to Grant Park, and you can see the beautiful skyline over here.
It's very bright.
Very bright. Love it here. It's pretty cool.
You have a question.
Tell me.
This might be a little unrelated, but any tips for homemade vegan cheese for stuffed deep dish pizza?
Ooh, so I will tell you that you are going to go bonus round. Not only do you want to try to use vegan cheese, right? But you want to use as much of it in the style that requires the most amount of cheese. I will tell you that I like to use the successful vegan cheeses that I've made have been using nuts, cashews, almonds, those sort of things. And there's lots of YouTube videos out there on how to make vegan cheese. I will tell you this: I've never tried to make a deep dish or a stuffed pizza with vegan cheese. Just because, number one, I think it's kind of gross. But number two, I understand that there are people who have certain dietary needs. And if you were going to, I would say, start with a style that doesn't need so much, right? And then build into a deep dish or a stuffed pizza. You guys have seen my stuffed pizza videos. Those pizzas for a 12-inch pizza or a 30-centimeter pizza, depending on where you're watching me from, could have anywhere from 5 pounds of mozzarella inside. Or those of you who are only dealing with the metric system, you probably will be talking about like over 2 kilos of mozzarella inside a pizza, right? Which is part of the reason why Americans have the taboo around pizza that we do around the world. And we always might hear, like, especially in Italy, I love when people watch me make something like this in Italy and we hear the phrase Americanata, right? This is a 100% American thing, right? Because in the rest of the pizza eating world, that's obviously a very heavy pizza, and that much mozzarella in a slice of pizza, some people might think might actually be a little gross. So I will tell you, my successes have been with nuts. Get yourself a really good blender. I've got a Vitamix Pro at home. It does an amazing job. I also have the Breville blender with the attachment that's got the little suction cup thing on the lid, and that thing is actually really amazing too. The whole purpose there is that you're making like this nut milk right? And then all of a sudden you're going to add some things to it, thicken it, you're going to strain it, and you've made cheese. Chop it up, eat it however you want to use it, shred it. Kind of looks like tofu, in my opinion, but you can make that. So hope you, thank you for the question. Hope you try it out. If you do make some really good vegan cheese, everybody wants to know where you can always get good vegan cheese. And commercially, I'm not a big fan of most of them. There are some that are better than others. I'm just not a big fan. I would rather make you a pizza marinara without cheese than use something that is going to be like that. So that's what I have to say about it. Anything else? Anybody else?
That's it.
All right, cool. So we're coming up here. I said I was going to hard stop in 30 minutes. We're probably a little over 20 right now. Michigan Avenue's got people all over. Look at it, it's pretty cool right here. This is the Millennium Park skating. There's the Bean right there, famous Bean in Chicago. That ice skating rink is something that came about just before COVID. And it is pretty cool to sit out there. And if you don't ice skate, there's a little restaurant right behind it that you can sit there, have hot toddies and cocoa or whatever the hell you want to drink. But it is always a nice place to do some people watching. Show Rosebud right there. Look at this, that new terrace that they put up over there, right there behind you. That's pretty cool. Love the Dana family. That's Dana, a longtime friend. I used to see a lot of those people when I was at Giordano's here in Chicago. I was at Russian Superior, and I was right near the area called the Viagra Triangle, which might be like Rush Street and Walton, and actually the area we're heading to right now, which is called the Gold Coast, right? So in that area, very historic, Rosebud. We had Tavern on Rush, which closed, and that was a pretty rough one. And there's been some other ones recently that have announced doors are closing and things are getting shuffled and all that. But anyways, we've got a beautiful city. People are out. The sun is shining. Turn around right there. Show Tribune right there. Is a beautiful building. Always looks a little bit better when the sun is out, right? And it's amazing. I love it. So I'm going to cut this one right now. I think I'm kind of done here. I will be back soon. If you have any friends that are into pizza or pasta or cooking or things done by a really cool short chubby Italian kid from Chicago, please share these videos, share my page with them, and have them subscribe. I'm only as good as you guys allow me to be, and I get better when I have people asking me questions and are inquisitive and continuously making the actual recipes that I'm putting out there. So I hope you guys are all well. I hope you guys have a great weekend and upcoming week. And those of you celebrating Hanukkah, I want to say happy Hanukkah. We just started that. All my Jewish friends out there, we are supporting everything that's going on with you, and all the rest of you that celebrate Christmas. I want to say especially Bon Natale to everybody. Right now, ding ding, right over the Chicago River right there. Did you guys catch that?
Oh, I missed it.
Is. Chicago River, and that's Lake Michigan in the background. There you go. And that's really about it. So I hope you guys are all well. I'll talk to you all soon. Ciao.
I don't know how to stop.